And we are live on the United Public Radio Network, UPRN 107.7 FM New Orleans and 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast. How cool is that? And we are being live streamed wherever podcasts live, including my YouTube channel. So go there and subscribe. To all those above me that watch over me, to all of you, my fave parapeeps, fellow experiencers, and brothers and sisters in Christ, welcome. This is Father Shawn's Paranormal Ministry. I'm your host, Father Shawn Whittington. I'm an ordained Catholic priest with the United States Old Catholic Church. I am a fully professed brother and abbot for the Old Catholic Benedictines of Immaculate Mary, team member with Society of St. Benedict, and co-founder GhostBegone.biz. And yes, I'm that guy on Eli Roth Presents The Legion of Exorcists, which premiered on Travel Channel but is still currently streaming and doing quite well on HBO Max. So check it out if you get a chance. If there's anything you want to know about my wife and I and our ministry work, go to our website, www.ghost-b-gone.biz. If you go there to visit, there's a lot of cool things to see. Both my books are there. You can get them a little less expensive on Amazon, and they also come in an audio version. But if you buy them off of the website, they leave my office here. I autograph them. They arrive to you in a beautiful, my new deluxe house blessing kit. And you never know when one of those is going to come in handy. And the other beautiful thing about getting them off of the website is part of the proceeds of every sale of every copy of my books goes to support St. Jude and the ASPCA. How cool is that? You get to help some of the neediest children on the planet and the animals too. That's a wonderful thing. My online course is there if you're interested in enrolling in that, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare. All my students that graduate get a stunning diploma, certificate of completion, suited for framing, along with some other very special blessed gifts that you can only get from yours truly. There's also a place on the website where you can make an appointment to speak with me about your spiritual issues. So that's my song and dance, and I'm sticking to it. Most importantly, brothers and sisters, keep in mind if you're there visiting on the website, my wife and I don't charge for our ministry work, helping people with their paranormal issues. So if you notice the donate button and you're able to do so, and trust me, I know times are tough, but if you're able to send my ministry in a small donation, I promise you it'll be appreciated from the bottom of our hearts. And trust me, we'll put it to good use. Okay, we have a great show today. You all already know that because I'm getting last second private messages with questions for today's guest coming in right before we go live. So it's going to be a great show. You guys already know that. That's why you tuned in. I'm so happy to get a chance to finally meet him in person, if you can call this in person, and get to talk to him. He's a very interesting person. Got a lot going on. You guys are going to love him. Um, and I owe it all to my awesome co-host who made this all possible to bring our guest on today. Having said that, it's time to bring her on. I've known her forever. I love her and respect her. She's a lifelong paranormal experiencer. She's the owner of Stellium Books, my publisher. Please welcome to the show, Annette Munich.
Hello, Father Shawn. Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here today. I'm very excited about our guest. I think that a lot of people are going to really like what he has to say and enjoy the conversation. And just hello to all of our listeners in New Orleans and in the Gulf Coast. Welcome, welcome.
Very, very cool. I'm so happy you're here too, and thank you for making this all possible because um, I haven't got around to inviting our guest on yet, and you guys know one another, and you invited him on, and he so graciously accepted. So there you go. I'm excited too. Before we bring him on, he's in the he's in the green room. Before we bring him on, is there any announcements you'd like to make to the masses? Are you and I still on somewhat
Yes,
of good progress on maybe being able to
yes.
make a big announcement on?
I'm going to send you 2 more emails about it this weekend.
Okay, very, very cool. So
We're moving. We're chugging along.
hopefully Annette and I will have the huge announcement to make in 2 weeks on our next First Fridays with Father Shawn and Annette. And that will
which
be,
is which is also going to be your 10-year anniversary.
oh, that's right, my 10-year anniversary of the show. Can you believe it? And it'll be a big announcement for Halloween. So there you
But
go.
I've only been sitting in this co-host seat for what, about a year and a half now.
In 10 years from now, it'll be all yours, babe.
Woohoo!
Well, I'm ready to bring on our guest. Are you?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, guys, all I can tell you about this guy is he's just, I don't know him that well, but he seems to be really, really cool. His story is fascinating. And soon the whole world, not only do many of us in the paranormal community know his story, but the whole world is going to know a lot more about this story and him, and some other announcements that are going to come out that we will talk about during the show. So he's an author. He's a paranormal enthusiast. I'm going to go ahead and call him a paranormal authority. He is an extreme haunting experiencer and survivor, and he's just a really cool dude. Everybody, please give a big, warm paranormal ministry family welcome to Chris DiCesare.
Hello, hello.
Hi, Chris. Thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome. I hope I am cool and fascinating tonight. Pressure's on.
Brother,
You're cool and fascinating. That's what you are. We've
brother,
decided.
this is how we roll. I come from my office at home. Annette comes from her office at home. You're in your office at home. I only have one rule. Every show, I just want my guests to have fun, so you'll want to come back because I know I'm going to want you to come back. There's no way you and I are going to be able to cover everything that I want to talk to you about in an hour, and I'm wasting time. So let's get to it. And then if you have something you'd like to ask him,
And
please do, because if not, I've got a list here from friends and followers of Chris that have sent in to me.
we do keep it light and joke around a little bit from time to time because we cover some very serious and intense subject matter. And so if it seems like we're a little bit, should I say the word goofy? But, just to kind of, it does get very intense, the stuff that we talk about. So, if we seem a little joking around, it isn't because we don't take it seriously. It's because we're fully aware of how serious it is. And we don't want to be, so intense that people want to walk off um,
And not come back.
and never come back.
Yeah.
Um, but with you, I guess the best place to start, and I don't know if you had paranormal experiences before C2D1, but did you? You did.
That's a good question, right? Because people say it could be genetic. You're born with something in your genes that predispose you. People say it could be the area in which you're in exposes you to what's in that place. It could be you pick something up. There are different explanations how these things can occur, these extreme hauntings.
Right.
And
Right.
I think sometimes when you don't know what's happening, you don't look for signs of it happening. So for
Right.
example, once I began to hear and see this thing in the room, I began to look for signs of those things happening. They could have happened before that. I just wasn't looking for those signs, if that makes any sense.
Right.
So I can tell you that there was one incident I had. I talk about that in the book. I haven't shared that probably ever. When I was a young boy, I was a young kid, and my great grandfather, born in 1897, he was passing away in the hospital. He was, 80 something years old, and I wanted to say goodbye and tell him I loved him. And there was the whole ward of the hospital had this very pungent, bad smell, the whole floor. And he looked over at me and I said, "Oh, what's that smell?" And I felt bad because I thought maybe he's thinking about me. And I got standing in the hallway and I never said goodbye to him. And that made me sad that I didn't say goodbye. And I remember standing out in the hallway by the fire extinguisher thinking, I messed it up and I can't fix it. I remember on the way home in the car crying. About 6 months later, I was hitting a wiffle ball in the backyard and went around the house, the ball, and I went to get it. And there I saw my great grandfather and he went like that. So I never told anybody. But
Oh,
that's the person I wanted to say goodbye to, and then he came to say goodbye to me. But he said this: "Don't say anything, shh, quiet." So I didn't tell anybody. And so when I was writing the book and sharing my experience, I said, you know what? Let me just be fully candid here. Let people know there was a time before that. I just didn't want to think about it or talk about it because I was told by the person not to. And that was my
yeah,
great grandpa. I trusted him, and so that's the experience. But and I also that also kind of predisposed me. If someone you love says, don't go over there, that's dangerous, or be careful crossing the street, as a child, you take them very seriously.
right,
So that kind of pushed me away from my friends wanting to use Ouija boards, or things like that. I never did any of that because of subconsciously that one encounter. So I didn't have any real interest in those things until Geneseo happened. Then things kind of pushed it on me.
right. That's interesting because my first paranormal experience was seeing my grandfather. Same
It's
thing.
comforting, right? It's comforting in a way because you're seeing someone that you know. And I liked it to some degree, even though he told me to be quiet about it, because it suggested to me, in my own personal lens, that there is life after death, that
Right,
the spirit does live beyond the body. And I thought that's actually pretty cool. I didn't know
right,
what that meant. I didn't know how you apply that, but it's nice to know that he was still there.
right,
Kind of a cool thing to have in the back of your head as you go through life.
right. Yes, very comforting that death isn't the end of everything and that, you know, he's still around.
Yeah. I thoroughly plan to have this show in heaven, so we'll be doing this. The three of us will be doing this again one day, and laughing about all the things that we know then that we don't know now. Um, and that's what I think is so fascinating about um, the three of us live three very different existences, if that's the right word, in this thing we call the field of paranormal experiencing and research and ghost busting and all that sort of stuff. I'm going to give you like a 3 or 4 part question all at once, Chris, and you just
All right.
take your time dealing with it, and then we'll get into we'll peel the layers away and get more into the haunting that soon the whole world is going to
Can I call a
experience.
friend or 50-50 this?
Yeah. When I've been seeing spirits since I was very young. I live in a haunted house. I was just talking to a good friend of mine the other day who's known me all my life, and he says, you know, you were always a good person, but never, there was a time where when we were young, I had a paranormal experience, told you about it. You've had many, told me about them, but they used to thoroughly freak you out when you were a young kid. Now, fast forward 60 some odd years later, he says, look at you now. You are an ordained Catholic priest exorcist, and you're not the person you were when you were a young man. Um, so this happened to you a long time ago when you were very young, and now look at you now. I think we all, and Annette too, we look at all those things we experienced. Not only did they shape us and change our lives, but we became the persons we are now because of this. And maybe we did, or maybe we didn't conquer um, whatever happened to us emotionally and psychologically. But my mother told me spirits are just people that don't have a body any longer, and they're not to be afraid of. But if you see one, it's because they have a message for you or they need some help. If you're able to ask them what it is, the messages they want to give to you, ask it. If not, ask them what they need help with. If you can't do either or, and you are thoroughly freaked out of your mind at this apparition, simply tell the spirit that you're freaked out, you don't want to see them any longer, and to please leave you alone.
Right.
And most of the time they will. So this is what I'm going to ask you. Do you think ghosts can kill? Do you think we can live with ghosts, coexist with them? Like I pretty much do here in the house. I try not to rock the boat. I let things just happen. Um, what do you think about that? And do you believe that spirits trick us more than we know? That maybe we think it's just the disembodied human spirit when in fact it might be something much more malevolent, darker, God forbid, demonic, um, and we should have really nothing to do with it. Are we totally out of our, are we in over our heads even trying to deal with this, and we should just let it be, let it lie?
Well, let me start by saying, when in the course of human history, that's the wrong speech, sorry.
Yeah.
You mentioned about being a different person, and I think that's just part of growth. When my suite mate at Geneseo in Erie Hall, J. Jeff Unger, I called him Jeff, uh, convinced me to go see Ed and Lorraine Warren speak at the college. And actually, Jeff is in the chat room. Hello, Jeff. Um, I remember saying to him, I could never do that. I could never get on a stage in front of all these people and talk about ghosts, things that really can't prove existed. You really can't see them, feel them, hear them, touch them, measure them. It's too big of a risk for your career, for reputation. And then here I am doing just exactly that. So I think your friend was insightful to say that you've changed, but I think that's just part of the human growth experience. And sometimes the fears we have are our consciousness telling us, watch out for this, because it might actually happen to you. Be ready. I think you're predisposed to those fears and notions. In terms of ghost killing, unfortunately, I have witnessed, experienced people die because of ghost activity. People taking their lives because of ghosts in their presence or their perceived ghosts. So, do ghosts kill directly? I have no evidence of that, but I can see, and I have witnessed, actually experienced people killing or killing themselves because of the belief that ghosts exist. We had a situation in college. I don't write about these things or show them on television shows because the family who lost a child has to suffer each time and relive the loss every time it comes up in a public setting. So out of respect to the family, I just don't do that. But we had a situation in college where one of our friends on the floor had said to me, Chris, your ghost is bothering him. And I'm like, well, it's not my ghost. My ghost is in me, but it always called my name, so it became my ghost. And he said, we go camping, and he hears it whisper your name. We go to the movie theater, it whispers your name, and he needs to talk to someone. And at the time, nothing was working for us. We had called a priest to bless the room, and our room was safe. But then attacks began other places in the college. We had the help of a psychology professor who helped us get EVPs and things like that, but didn't stop the efforts, the events. My father came up so we were trying to understand things, but we had no solutions. So I didn't feel I could talk to this young man who was my age and help him in any way until I had more answers myself. I should have talked to him. The last time I saw him, he was walking out of the dorm towards the college union, looking very sad. Slow steps, hunched shoulders forward, looking morose. I thought I feel kind of bad for him, but I was in the same spot. Next thing I found out, when I inquired about him, he had committed suicide. So, and those are the kind of things where you're not directly responsible, but you always second guess yourself. Could I have done something else? Having been a special education teacher, or working with students for decades who have self-harming tendencies and ideations, it just takes 2 seconds to hurt yourself. So you can be a good mom, a good dad, a good caseworker, a good doctor, but you can't be with them 24/7 for years. And in their moments of weakness, that's you can't blame yourself for being human. You have to sleep once in a while. And so I've experienced that in my career. So sorry, long story short, I believe that ghosts or crises can create situations whereby you do have harm and death and things that go awry. In terms of coexisting, I try to make all your points here. Coexisting, I think like anything else, it's possible but hard. And I think because of communication. If you live with someone in a dorm room, or you're having a person come stay in your house like a tenant or exchange student, there could be a language barrier. There could be cultural differences. And some of those differences can make things difficult. When I was a caseworker for foster care, I had a child in my caseload who came from a country in Eastern Africa. And he was raised, you do not make eye contact with an adult. To do so challenges them. To do so is disrespectful. When an adult talks to you, you look down. He was put into a home with an Italian family who said, look at me, you're lying. If you're not looking at me, you're lying to me. It just didn't work. They could not coexist. No one's fault, just they're raised differently. And then communication is tough, I think, with a spirit. I know some people who suggest you can have conversations left and right for half an hour straight and talk about Christmas and things and the Green Bay Packers. I haven't seen much evidence of that. I have seen efforts of communication where there do see messages going back and forth where it's possible. My experience in that college dorm room with a thing in that room for months has led me to, for me to believe and perceive that communication is possible, but very, very difficult. And because it's difficult, it makes coexisting hard. So, for example, if I talk about that ghost specific to me, he was in my room, in my dorm room. It's called the C2D1 haunting because it was the C building, the D quad, the second floor, first room. That's just, and we don't want to say ghost because then people will say, "What ghost?" We don't want the attention. It wasn't like today going for clicks on TikTok. We just wanted it quiet. We wanted to live our lives, and so we'd say, "How are things in C2D1?" That's how it became known as the C2D1 haunting. And I would be sleeping and I'd look up and open my eyes, the face would be right in front of my face, looking at me like from inches away. Well, I don't care who you are, whether it's somebody who's tangible or not tangible, that's going to scare you. If you, God forbid, wake up tonight and some stranger's in your house looking over you as you sleep, you will never forget that. If the person flees, even if he's arrested or she's arrested, you're gonna lock your doors twice, lock your windows twice, because you can't risk that exposure that again. And so for me, it was very hard to coexist with this spirit, this ghost, because I didn't understand what it was trying to do. It was very touchy. It would always touch my feet when I'm sleeping, my legs. It would stare at me. I felt like I was, as Edward would say, I was being oppressed by its presence. And at the time of the haunting, I think most of us felt it was evil, that it had malintentions, and certainly the Linda being held down in her bed and Beth being knocked unconscious, me being cut across my back and being found on the bathroom floor bloody. All those things didn't help, obviously, that discussion. Looking back these decades, I realized that even good people make mistakes. Your cat or dog, a member of your family, they can still scratch at you or step at you if they're hurt or injured or scared. That can still happen. And I think looking back, this spirit was scared, was desperate. And I think that in myself and my friends, it found somebody or some people to talk to communicate, to find help. And we pushed it away by calling the priest, bless the room, by pushing it out, by avoiding, by evading. I think it became even more desperate. So I think that's why the negative things, looking back, rationalizing, occurred. And then finally, you're talking about ghosts and their nature. I don't have a typical faith. I'm denied that. You see, of course, I understand this. I'm sure you do too. And that faith is seeing, believing without seeing. I don't have to see. I believe in my heart that it's true. I trust the Lord. I trust you. Falling in love is trust. Falling in love is faith. I hope you're faithful to me. That we'll love each other. That this lasts. Because if it doesn't last, you're really hurt badly, right? When the relationship goes sour. So I think that it involves a lens. So I would have told you years ago that ghost was evil. Today I say no, it wasn't evil. And I think I didn't see heaven as being harps and cherubs. I didn't see that the Van Halen cover from 1984, David LaRoth. I didn't see a smoking angel with little wings, like in harps. That wasn't the heaven that I saw, if that's what I was seeing. Even though I saw what I assumed to be or figured to be life after death. It seemed almost like fear extended. And so I thought to myself, well, that's interesting, because if an aspect of the person survives the body, that means everything the person learned and experienced is probably still part of them. And I think that as human beings, we're probably flawed, right? So it wouldn't surprise me if, in the process of going to heaven or finding rest, you work through these things in a period of time. So I don't think I have faith. I've seen life after death. I don't have to believe it's there because I've seen it. That makes me sad. But I have faith in people and God. I have faith in hope and humanity. It's just oddly I don't have the standard faith people have because I don't really have to. And that's always bothered me. Sorry if that's too much. I just wanted to.
No, that was wonderful. I was just about to tell you your story is so amazing, and I wanted to ask you. You began to almost sound like you were in a tunnel, and I don't know if ghosts still follow you, and you tend to have. They do it here all the time. If you tend to have them mess with video or audio when you're trying to conduct interviews, but perhaps maybe you leaned a little bit too far back from the mic. I wasn't sure, but I started to get, and it might even be just me,
Yeah.
but you almost started to sound like you were tunneling. Am I the only one experiencing that?
Note to self: special effect free of charge.
um, what I will say is everybody. I don't judge anybody. I respect everybody's opinion and belief system and where their comfort level with this stuff. Two things were real big eye openers to me here in recent years, or even over many years. First off, for many years growing up in the teenage area, I never told anybody of my fascination of the paranormal and I saw spirits because I didn't want people thinking I was weirder than they already thought I was. And when you're young, you want friends, you want to
Yeah.
be popular. Um, but when my wife got cancer, and God bless, she's still here with us. Um, many people that we were very close with just pretty much disappeared. They were still there for us. I could reach out to any of them and ask for help or have a shoulder to cry on. But people stopped coming around, and I know they didn't love us any less. They were just sad and heartbroken and didn't want to see my wife go through what she was going through. I understand that now, and I don't hold any grudges against anybody for feeling that way. The same thing with a lot of people when I got into the clergy and became ordained and got on that path to becoming a priest and all that. Many people couldn't wrap their head around that. They stopped coming around and reaching out and contacting me. And I get it, you know. And the same thing with the spirits. A lot of people don't reach out to me that used to prior to me coming out, gangbusters of a ghost busting guy because that stuff freaks them out.
Yes.
So, how much of this do you experience in your life with friends, family, um, business associates, colleagues, other teachers,
Yeah.
people that you've come to know? And do many people reach out to you for help?
Yeah, I think you hit upon, for me, what's called the quiet pain. You don't really talk about it because it's not really worth sharing, but there's a sense of loss. Back in the 80s when this haunting occurred, it was the occult. It was negative. You could be thrown out of your church. You could lose girlfriends or boyfriends. Your family could it was a tough thing. People would judge you harshly. Now with the advent of all the television shows, it's almost cool now to talk about these things. It was a very different environment. And I can recall, people ask me what was the most horrible moment of a haunting. Well, the most horrible moment was definitely the attack when I'm on the ground. But the saddest part was not that; it was losing my friends. When people that you knew and saw every day began to say things like, "We'll give you a call. Don't worry about that. No, we'll get a hold of you. Just we'll be fine." Or, "No, I gotta go. I'll talk to you later." And then the finger pointing, and then the whispers, and then the ghost boy talking. So it was weird that I hadn't changed in any way, not my belief system, not my actions, but the perception of me in society changed so that I went from being fairly well respected, happy, athlete to an oddity. It was very strange, and I have actually learned, probably good to learn, that people who say they're going to be with you and aren't always. People think they're very strong, but actually not. They're posturing, and people who are very quiet, you think they can't handle it, have your back, and they actually show up and say, "I've got you here." You had mentioned before about being cool and popular in high school. Jocks, stoners, geeks, nerds, brains. We pick a label, dress that way, talk that way, and if you don't do the right thing, oh, you're out of the club. But that's just who we pretend to be. That's not who we are. But in these moments of crises, whether it's bankruptcy, whether it's divorce, losing a child, the ghost, the real you comes out, and you see yourself for being mostly good, maybe scared, maybe a little brave, maybe selfish. You begin to see yourself in a more clear light that you weren't forced to see yourself before, and you can see the good and bad in people, and you realize that people don't reveal themselves until they have to. It's just not comfortable to do so. And so that's why the friends I made back then are my friends today, 40 years later,
Yeah.
because we were just honest. We needed each other to get through these things. Almost like we talk about combat buddies in the war. My
Right.
grandpa told me, we all bleed red. We're all not foxhole. We're all trying to not get strafed by the Japanese planes. Doesn't matter if you're white, if you're black, it doesn't matter. We're all here trying to survive. And I think my friends and I, all of us, we have that sense of camaraderie that supersedes age and religion and location and demographics and culture. So there are good things that can come from that. I did not want to talk about this haunting. I wasn't investigating, I was surviving. I had nothing to do with it. In fact, when my first TV show came out in 2012, I was in a sports league, a couple of sports leagues, in a dartball league, I was in a baseball league for years. And all these friends, close friends who I met after college, loved the paranormal. When they found out, wait, you're the ghost boy. You're the what? You know, I didn't want them to know. I didn't want to cross over. And with my children, that was a tough call to make. If I say nothing to them, there where I was, helpless, confused, flailing about. I didn't want that for them. If I tell them everything, I might predispose them to my belief systems and what I think, and that's not fair to them either. I don't want to make them have to go that route. So I chose to tell them, my son and daughter, nursery rhymes, fairy tales, dragons and knights and princesses and trade merchants. But all the stories were about my experience at college. So they could problem solve the moment safely without being beholden to me and my belief in my past. Nothing wrong, worse than being Willie Mays' son. Because if you're not what he is, oh, well, you're a shot of your father. I don't want my kids to have that, you know? And so, and then when the sci-fi show came out, my son's like, oh my God, Dad, that was. So I really tried to, and again, I think that's important. I as a father, as a grandpa, as a teacher, as a human being, it's so easy to put your own needs first and your own opinions first, and I guess that's important on occasion. But to be part of a family, part of a community, part of a social structure, I think is more important. And sometimes it has to be more than just what you want, just what you need. Sometimes it's what people around you need, and that's how you build friendships, right? And so it was a long walk for me. It was a long thing, and you know, I remember my son turned 16. That's when he knows everything, right? When you're 16, you know everything. And so I remember I came home and he had 3 girls in the room with him. 3 girls. I'm like, what? I mean, looking back, kudos for him, but like, this is not cool, right? And they're all hanging on him on that side. No. Okay, you got to go home. Got to go home. He was angry. I'm like, this is not cool. You know what I'm saying? So I need you to go home, do your homework and things like that. I said, do me a favor and please clean your room. I'm not going to clean my room. Please clean your room. I'm not going to do that. Why should I clean my room? Because, you know, the whole thing, right? Yeah. So it was a tense situation. I was older. I got pudgy and things. So, of course, you know, the kids think and that's natural. Then the sci-fi show came out. And I was pushing the shopping cart at ShopRite, you know, get some eggs and stuff, right, and things, and paper towels. And my son calls, oh, my God, Dad. I'm like, what? He goes, you're so cool. My friends are seeing you on SYFY. They think you're the coolest dad ever. I'm like, I've been telling you that 15 years. Of course I'm cool. So you look for moments where you can actually, hopefully, bring people to a place where you can reach your hand out. And one more quick thing, if you don't mind, about relationship to people. Once I did go public with these things, and I was encouraged to by other people. It was never me. People always said, we believe what happens is important, share it. And so I kind of went along, and I saw that they were probably right. I was walking through the Steamtown Mall in Pennsylvania by Scranton, and this one man comes up, a real big dude, huge, like a linebacker, and he says, oh my God, you're the ghost boy, right? I'm like, yeah. And he had a big hug. I'm like, uh-oh, call the police, you know, what's going on here, right? He goes, when I was a kid, I liked you, Luke Skywalker, and Spock. And I wrestled, like, I am the ghost boy. I read about you in the paper, about this thing in your room. Was it cool? And so I explained to him how uncool it was. But it dawned on me, here's a person I didn't know, who didn't know me, who lived hundreds of miles away. He was rooting for me and cheering for me and praying for me. And it said, you know what? You're never truly alone unless you choose to be. And so I learned that lesson as well. So I tell people, things are bad, taste your food. Put on a song, like when you're a teenager, and dance to the song to remember, to forget. Just dance wildly. You know, talk to a person you haven't talked to in a while. Say hello. Just move forward, and whatever your situation is, you're better served by it. So, and in the chat room, you see these people, right? You see Lourdes and Ron and Vince, and these are all great friends of mine who've been supportive of me, and I'm honored to have their friendship as well. So, thank you, people. I thank you. I love you guys.
Yeah, it originally it takes a little getting used to, and people that I help, and it doesn't matter if it's just a ghost that they're experiencing or the demonic. When I'm done helping them and hopefully bring their situation to some happy closure and they move on from that, they don't want to hear from me again. They don't want to see me. They don't want to hear from me. They don't want nothing to do with me anymore because
if it ain't
I'm a
broke, That's
Yeah,
right.
I'm a reminder of
Yes.
what they went through, and I'm
Yeah.
okay with that. I just try to make myself as accessible as possible, and if they ever need to reach out to me for anything, fine. But I totally get it.
Yeah.
You must. I'm jealous of one thing. You mentioned having seen Ed and Lorraine Warren in person
Yes, that's
give
true.
a speech. That must have been an awesome experience.
It was cool. Can I share about that?
Absolutely.
I want to start by saying, and I always say this because I always think it's important to say something nice about everybody you talk about. It's important because people always have their critics. I can tell you that Lorraine Warren was elegant. She walked on that stage and she was glamorous. Her back was straight, her gown was on, her hair was up. She looked like a 1940s movie star. It was amazing. So she took herself seriously. And even as a teenager, I thought, wow, she wants to make a positive impression. She cares enough about us to make a positive impression. And I can tell you, when she said something, whether right or wrong, and that can be debated for eons, right? She believed it. So I knew when she talked to me, that's what she believed. And as a friend, as a coworker, no one's always right. But when somebody's being honest with you, it just feels good. They're not playing or using you. They're sharing their version of what happened, and I always respect that. So nothing bad to say. With Ed, I admired his public speaking skills. He had a booming voice. My great grandfather was a carnival barker in the circus back in the 1940s and 50s, and he had that
Wow.
kind of voice, like "ladies and gentlemen," and Ed
Wow.
Warren had like a Boston accent, but still the same thing. He would talk very loudly, and he'd garner your attention. He made sure you heard him, and I think when you're presenting in front of people, it's good to believe what you say, and it's good to say it in a way that can be heard clearly. So as far as a presentation goes, it was really good. As to the content, I mean, that's your individual lens, right? One of the things they mentioned over and over was that like attracts like. One of the things that Lorraine would repeatedly say, that like attracts like. So if you're negative, you draw negative. If you're positive, you draw positive into your life. And of course, me at a science background, wait a second, the like pulls on magnet repel. That can't be possibly true. So I was always looking for ways not to buy into what they were saying because I feared accepting those things. Going back to my childhood experience, I didn't want to go back there, so I kept on finding ways to not invest in what they were saying, even though my mind was saying she might be right. So it was a very interesting thing at the and I think that was the day before Lorraine turned 39, I think. So it's been a while. But after they were done speaking, my friend Jeff, who had taken me there, said we should go say hello to them. And Jeff wanted to ask them a question and things. So we walked up to the stage. And when I got there, Lorraine said, "I don't want to shake your hand. I don't know my future." And then Ed kind of pushed me off the stage. So that was kind of embarrassing. And so I was a little upset for a while. Then years later, I met Judy Spear, their daughter, at one of the places I was talking at, and she said to me, "Oh my gosh, you're the ghost boy. My mom loved you." I'm like, "No, that was somebody else. Let me tell you what happened with your mom and dad." Then she explained to me because she didn't want to go to the event. They scared her. As a young girl, she didn't want to hear about ghosts. She would stay in the car and do word searches and things like that. And she said, "No, my mom came back and this young kid he had this huge aura, and he could like block me. He was like reading my aura. He was reading me. I couldn't have that happen because they were paying us to do these things. So Ed had to remove me so she could do her what she's paid to do, which read and to glean things. So it wasn't at all personal. But as a teenager, like, oh, I got touched on the stage by the same people in front of all my friends. That is not cool. So years and years later, things resolve themselves, and so that's kind of interesting, right?
That's
And
cool.
I know that some of the books they wrote are people question the accuracy of those books or the movies and things like that, and I can share my own experience that sometimes producers and directors take the wrong way. They want to have an interesting experience, and there's sometimes what's that called? Creative liberty. That can
Correct.
happen. But what I can tell you is I don't think anyone's perfect, but I really do believe that Lorraine meant what she said, and I think that Ed supported her, and I feel very honored to have been part of that history to look back and say that's pretty cool, and have benefited from it.
Well, before I have you break the big news to everybody, you got two big news events to break. I'm going to go ahead and just throw this out there, and I'm going to include you both in on this. Anybody out there uh, listening or watching the show that is experiencing anything of a paranormal nature, regardless of what it may be, don't act like an ostrich and stick your head in the sand and think if you just ignore it, it's going to go away because it won't. And if you need help, you could reach out to any of us. You could reach out to Chris, Annette, or myself and ask for help, or anybody in your area that you trust that does what we do and ask for help. that's what we're all here for. It just happens to me. I don't know one person in this field. Me personally, there probably are, but I personally don't know one person in this field that isn't ready to help somebody if somebody is being terrorized by something that they just don't can't wrap their head around of a paranormal nature that would just shut the door on them and say no, that's not my thing. They at the very least will try and find somebody that can help them. So don't ignore it, reach out, and I think I speak for the two of you that you guys wouldn't turn your back on somebody if they reached out to you for help. Having said that, we've got two big announcements in the under 10 minutes I have left of you, Chris. Whichever one you want to make the announcement for
Sure.
first, you've got the floor.
Okay. Well, first of all, the rash is almost gone. There is okay, just kidding. I'm very. I found myself in a good spot. I was diagnosed with cancer in June, and went through the radiation treatment in Sloan Kettering. I was declared cancer free in July, so I'm very happy to be here and to be able to celebrate and share with everyone out
Thank
there.
you, Jesus, for that.
Yes, absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was just interesting, scary moment. But I firmly believe that all the love that was shown toward me and how people were so kind to me and what they did, I thought I would make it through just because of that alone. And I think that prayer does make a difference, and that energy can be positive. And I think it's beautiful. People love me enough for whatever reason to help me. So thank you to everyone out there who gave a thought my way, even though I probably didn't deserve it. There are people more deserving, but I accept and thank you for your grace. The first big announcement I will share with you is that, well, on October 7th, uh, there's going to be a new show on Netflix. It's James Wan is the director who did The Conjuring and Saw and Insidious and Aquaman, and he's the executive director of my show. It's called Real Haunting, Erie Hall, and it's a documentary miniseries. It's 3 episodes. It took 4.5 years to create, and you're going to see me in there. You're going to see my friend Jeff Unger is going to be in there. He was the person who wrote the notes, took some of the photographs. Craig Norris is there, the one who asked me to help his friend. Linda Fox is there. She was held down into her bed, and we had to help her with that. The priest who blessed the room, Father Charles Manning, will be appearing on that show. My father, who made the 5-hour trip in 4 hours to see if I was okay, he'll be there. And then many of the people who, one of the actors, upcoming actors, played us in the flashback scenes. It's been a labor of love. It's been very intense, and I'm very proud to be able to take not the suffering, but lessons learned from those days and share that with a global audience. 39 languages. There's supposed to be a top 10 production we shall see, but I'm very honored. And the trailer dropped yesterday, so you can see it. It's on, I don't know, Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram. I'm not really a social media guy. I'm still on MySpace probably, but I think it's really cool news. And
That's awesome news, brother. I
oh,
mean, and it's a coincidence because I just got Netflix.
that's cool. Yeah, see, ta-da!
That's so cool, man. I couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
Lightning.
Congratulations for your success. I know it's gonna, I know it's gonna rock.
I hope it makes a difference. I really hope that people benefit from seeing this. They don't even say the word ghost for the first half an hour because people don't like that. Instead, they take each person's life story going to the college room, where they came from, how they got there. At the end of episode 1, then they introduce me as the ghost boy, like, who's this person? And then it goes from there. So I think by the time that happens, they're bought into something's happening. Is it a frat joke? Is it mass hysteria? Is it SAD? Is it hallucinations? Is it drugs? Is it a gas leak? So by that time, they're invested enough to see what the conclusions would be. So very honored, very honored. Now the second great thing.
I did watch the trailer last night, and I
like
thought
it?
it looked beautifully done.
I was
Top notch. So if anybody wants to check it out, I used to watch Paranormal Witness. That was a really scary and well done show. So the trailer looked great. Not to interrupt.
somebody production crew who worked on that show worked on this show as well, because Paranormal Witness was given a lot of high praise by those people who actually were in the paranormal. It seemed like more sincere and more realistic, and so I think when Netflix wanted to present to the world cases that could be, in a sense, proven, because people say, I believe, the worst of proof. And so they wanted to get 6 cases to digest. And it took about a year and a half to get 6 cases. Then I wanted to bring down to 3. and they only found two. They only get two cases where they felt for sure this happened, and the people weren't fighting about what happened and weren't talking to others. So there's one from Salt Lake City, Utah, and then ours. In fact, we almost didn't get on the air because we were dusty. We were told we were dusty. We're old white people, old white guys. It's not in right now. It's all about diversity and equity and inclusion. So, but once they heard our words and our messages, they went past their lens and said, you know what? It shouldn't matter. This is a good message. And so I knew once they heard what we were saying, we'd open their eyes because that's the goal, right? For many years, it's been the other way around, but sometimes people get on sides, and that's unfortunate because the truth didn't have a side. It should be fair nuclear amongst everyone to think. So, there's my little soapbox. The other cool news for me is that I spent years on it. My book came out today. It's called The Ghost Boys of Erie Falls on Amazon right now. It's hardcover and stuff. So I'm very proud. J. Jeff Unger wrote the forward to it. It's a really nice thing, and a lot of help from people. And it just
Where can they get the book?
Couple places. The main place is Amazon. If you don't need an autograph or signature, it's Amazon. And it's quick shipping that way. The way to go. If you need a signature, then you either have to go to cedarventures.com or Erie Hall Shop or Erie Hall Ghost Boy, or see me at an event and I can sign it for you. So, but
Yeah, I've got your websites here. I've got www.ghostboystrong.com. Can they
yeah,
go there?
that was the fundraiser for when I had cancer. Right now, that's not
Oh,
active
okay.
anymore because my publisher was so kind to help me out to help pay for the medical bills and expenses when I was sick. So that's now quiet now. It's still there just to show that people are nice to people in the world. But yes, Erie Hall Ghost Boy is one. Erie Hall Shop is another. And then CITA Ventures, CITA Ventures, VENTURES, are all sites you can go to see some of the films, see the history of things, where I'll be speaking. I like history. I'm a history teacher, and I think it's important not to forget our history. So I'm very honored that on October 4th, I'll be in Syracuse, New York.
Oh,
And
very cool.
not too far from where I live, at the Chittenango Canal Boat Museum. I'm doing a fundraiser for that historic site and museum.
I got it
So,
right here.
yes.
I got it.
Yeah, that's the one. And so that's nice, right? Because we're giving back to people. We're giving back
That's
to
so
people.
awesome, brother.
Thank you.
And I also
Did,
noticed that you have, I see Syracuse Paranormal here. Give them a shout out. Do
Yes.
you? It almost like
did you
whether
say what? Excuse me.
it's okay.
Did you say what the title of the book is?
It says Horton hears a who, but I'm not sure it's going to say that way when we're all said and done. I like it. It kind of flows well. It sounds also familiar, but check out the IMDb thing, make sure it's already used. But no, it's the Ghost Boy of Erie Hall. And this photograph is the
Very
last
nice.
picture of me for the ghost got there. The last picture of me being happy and innocent, not knowing what was about to happen. So that's why I put it on the cover to say, this is what life
Nice.
was, and now this is. So, and how I walked that journey of sharing, understanding, and trying to survive and to grow.
Beautiful.
Is the haunting still going on?
Oh, I hope not. I'd be very disappointed if it is. I really worked hard to help that spirit find rest. Toward the end of the haunting, I got a little more brave. Plus, as I mentioned prior, some of the events that happened kind of forced my hand to say, no more pain, no more loss on this. And so I felt almost obligated to take an action since the ghost's focus was almost entirely on me. And so toward the end of that semester, around April 18th or so, I went back into that room and I broke the blessing from the priest. And I said, I'm going to talk to you, and this is it. And you're going to talk to me now, or I'm not going to care about you. And it responded. And I think that, that was, looking back, it was kind of crazy. It's kind of like when you go to an amusement park, a theme park, and there's that giant roller coaster. You're like, oh, look at that roller coaster. You wait online for 2 hours, then you get there, and it's kind of high. I'm a little tired, and you get in the thing. You're like, can I get off? Nope. Click, 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 click. So once you commit, you can't get off. There's concept and application. Conceptually, I'm being brave. Application, I'm not sure I'm very brave, but I was able to get through those moments and speak with it. And I think you'll see, and you can see in the film Please Talk With Me, done way back in 2012, independent film, which is the first time I shared. You can see in the SYFY show, School Spirits, and in Netflix. And in the book, you can see how I talked to this spirit, how I tried to, even though I was angry at it and I was hurt and frustrated, I tried to still look for its humanity and try to find some connection in order to ease what it apparently I saw obviously as being pain that it was racked with. And so I was lucky that I had the insight, the blessing, the grace to see its pain over my hate or anger. So I'm very fortunate as a teenager to be able to do that, which there's no guarantee that would have happened back then.
That's very mature for a teenager.
Especially me around naked half the time. Yeah, you would be no one to believe they could be that mature. But in that moment when it counted, that one brief shining moment, I was mature.
Let me ask you this before we've got a few minutes left before I've got to kick you out of here. Before you, I'm going to get you to commit now before you become a bigger star than you already are. That you had fun and you'll come back.
The party of the first does hereby the party of the second do hereby swear. I'm sorry, what are you saying?
Yeah.
Oh no, this is not for you. It's for somebody like you. But not. I'll be back. You invite me back. We'll talk. If nice to you're very nice people. I thank you for taking the time to speak with me. Without people to speak to, a message is silenced. And the fact that you reached out to me and said, "Would you want to come on?" I thought, of course, that's a thank you for considering me. That means I was lying on that bathroom floor thinking I was dead. It was over for me. The fact that I can still now, all these years later, come back and share my message of hope and survival, and that people find value in what I have to say, is so cathartic. It is so amazing. So yeah, you reach out to that Bill Edwards guy and set it up. I'll be here. We'll have a nice time, and And if I ever say things like, "and you are," just boot me.
For anybody out there, young or old, and in any age in between that may be experiencing what you went through, any advice?
Yeah. Thank you. There's always so much to say, and not a lot of time to say it in. But yes, every single one of us tries to solve for X in our equation for survival and happiness. Everyone. And I think across the board, and I referenced this briefly, you need to take each day as its own blessing. Taste your food, listen to music, journal your thoughts, seek friendship. And like a marathon, don't think about 25 miles to go. Think about the footsteps ahead of you. And you'll be surprised. Days go slow, years go fast. And suddenly you made it through and you feel good about that. So I'd say, please don't isolate. Please don't shame yourself. Please don't blame yourself when things go wrong. And as a teacher in special education, I help these children to learn for the first time, to read for the first time, to believe in themselves the first time. It takes self-investment, and so anybody out there going through a hard time, believe in yourself and please don't isolate.
Absolutely.
That's
well,
beautiful.
brother, that was beautiful. Annette, is there anything you would like to say to our esteemed guests before I kick them out of here?
I want to thank you. It was so much fun. I really enjoyed seeing you again. And well, I don't think we ever actually talked like this where we were on a video call.
No,
This was the first time.
We're just
but that was a while back.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was so much of a thing then. But really enjoyed it. Had a lot of fun. It's the fastest hour of the week. Once the conversation gets going, it goes by so quick, and I hope you'll come back.
Of course, and you got me into the Wilson College event that one year. Remember back in 2012? That was you stood up for me, so thank you for that. I didn't forget.
I think Shanley Hotel too.
That also with Sal Nicosia. That's right.
He passed away.
Yes, he sure did. Yes, that's a sad.
But his son's out here in Oklahoma.
Oh, very nice.
Oklahoma. Christopher DiCesare, I love you. I respect you, brother. You're on the prayer list. Congrats on everything. Thank you for being here. Have a wonderful remainder to your Friday evening and your weekend. God bless you, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take care, brother.
Thank you.
Great guest, huh?
How fun was that? How interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. Just and he's so well spoken.
I'll see you next Friday. Guess what next Friday is?
What is next Friday?
Happy Medium Monthly with Susan Ahern.
It's already the last Friday of the month. Yep.
Friday, September 26th. And then the following Friday after that, October 3rd, is our next First Friday with Father Shawn and Annette. And that's our 10-year anniversary. I'll be giving away a deluxe, my new deluxe house blessing kit.
Beautiful.
We'll have a drawing for that for anybody that tunes in. But next week will be Susan Ahern. So anybody out there wanting a free live on-air psychic reading from a truly gifted psychic medium that has a direct hotline to heaven, you need to tune in to one of the live stream locations so that you can type your question for Susan into the chat. She'll read it. She'll give you your reading live on air.
Right. And if anybody on my Facebook wants to send me a message with a question, I will take that and give that to her as well. We're going to say hi to Heidi and Michelle. They just showed up a little bit towards the end, but they're there.
All right, young lady, I love you and respect you too. You know that. Um, have a great
Yes.
remainder to your Friday evening and a wonderful weekend, and give your family my best. And I will talk to you soon.
Thank you so much. I want to wish everybody a good evening and a great weekend, and thank you for listening.
Good night, Annette.
Good night.
Annette Munich, owner of Stellium Books. If you've written a book and don't have it published yet and don't know what to do, reach out to her. If you want to write a book and haven't got started yet, reach out to her. That's what she does. Annette Munich, Stellium Books. Um, God bless everyone for tuning in. I mean this. I don't have a show without each and every one of you that tune in. And I mean that. So God bless you all. God bless United Public Radio Network, UPRN, for carrying my show. God bless Michelle DeRoche and Joe Montaldo for making that happen. And God, well, if you'd like to join a church that accepts everybody, and I mean that, accepts everyone, take a look at the United States Old Catholic Church. You might be pleasantly surprised. And if you're already good with God, but you feel a calling to have a closer relationship with Him, reach out to the abbot of the Old Catholic Benedictines of Immaculate Mary. That would be me. And we will discuss this calling of yours. Perhaps the Benedictines are in your future. Um, Remember, brothers and sisters, we may have done what the devil said we did, but we are not who the devil says we are. Stay tuned for Spirit Switchboard with Carrie Lynn Shellhorn. That's a great show. And we're just getting started here on High Strangeness Friday on United Public Radio Network. And if you're a sponsor, want to be a sponsor of the show, reach out. Talk to me about it. We will give you and your brand a shout out live on air while we are live. So I'm looking for sponsors. On that note, you guys, heartfelt thank you again to each and every one of you for tuning in. Good night, Danny. Good night, Jack. Good night, Dog. Good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. Good night, Ghost Boy. I love you all. God bless you all in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Peace.